now.
Okay, great, thank you. Just reminded me that I have to read this little blurb, so thank you. Welcome everyone to the Park and Recreation meeting of December 15th, 2020. This open meeting of the Needham Park and Recreation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. I believe that everything that is available to us tonight for materials was available to the public on the town website. And with that, I would like to call our meeting to order. So, Stacy, are there any members of the public here? Anyone here besides the commissioners and the staff?
The only person attending is one of our staff members, Kim Parsons, and she's just here to hang out with us.
Oh, okay. Okay, Kim, well, welcome. We haven't seen you for a while, but hope you can stay with us through the whole meeting. Okay, so why don't we get started and go right into the director's report?
Sure. All right. So fall programs we are sort of status quo. We're doing some programs. We're doing one or two programs inside. One of them's inside all the time, and one of them is just inside, weather permitting. We are looking at some other programs that are coming up. One is an orienteering program. One is Skyhawks, which is another virtual sport-based program. And the third one is escaping me. Oh, Blue Hills. That would be skiing. That one's going to be outdoors.
Yeah.
And it's not in the report because it's finally came to fruition today, Kristen. But basically we used to run a Neshoba program where we would bus the kids out and they would ski. And now to not have kids in buses, it's parent driven. So you can sign up through us and go down to Blue Hills and take lessons. So this is the first year, I believe, that the department is using Blue Hills, but we figured we'd try it out.
Okay. So will there be anything at Neshoba or nothing at Neshoba?
No, Neshoba's actually, I don't think Neshoba's running anything. Yeah. From like, they're not even doing their lessons. Okay. So I believe they're still going to be open for skiing, but not any group lessons.
Got it.
Sorry, I'm clicking back and forth. Story walks are super. Oh, the one other program I forgot to put down there that is in the works is we are working with Concom to do a bird watching program. A resident reached out to me and was super interested. Apparently had reached out to the department before. So I was like, this sounds great. I am wildly unqualified to run this program. So I had Chris talk to Concom, and we're gonna do it between our departments. We're gonna work on it for probably not January. Apparently, even though the trees are empty, it's not good bird watching season. I thought it would be, but it's not. So we have to wait for the spring when the birds come back, I guess. I don't know. So we'll be doing that. And then the story walk are getting rave reviews. Chris was stopped on the trail twice, hanging the one around Rosemary. And that's where we photocopy books and laminate them page by page and put them out along the trail. We did Rosemary, and we are adding in the Reservoir Trail this week, I believe. He's putting up those signs over there today. He put them up today. So basically you can walk along and read a book with your kids.
Fabulous.
Outside. Yeah. Yep. So that's that on fall programming. Fields and permitting. The lights have not been fixed. We're still hopeful. We'll get
Is
there.
it in the works? Is there anyone? There it is. I see Kristen nodding. Yes.
Yeah, it's in the works, and every time we talk to them, we get, we'll be out this week. Oh, sorry, we didn't get there. We'll be out next week. So we will lean on them a little bit more now that all the budget madness is slightly less maddening.
And is this Musco that you're waiting for, or is this DPW?
Neither. It's is it island lighting? No, I made that up. Oh no, I did. Oh, I'm good. Island lighting. Those are the safety lights that are around the track, so it's not Musco.
Okay.
So it's a vendor that I have never used before.
Okay.
Sorry if it's unclear here. Great. Playgrounds. As you can see in your report, typically playgrounds are closed in the winter months because the ground freezes and that's unsafe for people. And when I say typically we close, we always, I don't know what Needham has done in the past, but every town I've ever worked in puts out a note that says the playgrounds are closed and never enforce it because it's next to impossible to keep children off playgrounds, especially ones attached to the schools. But I think for this year, we should put out some signage that just says, please be careful, the ground is frozen. So any kind of safety surfacing, if a kid falls off the monkey bars and lands, you got a decent shot if you have good safety surfacing that they won't break anything. But when the ground is frozen, it's like landing on cement. There's no giving it. And the wood fibers freeze just as hard as cement does. So we'll just be putting out some.
Don't recall that we closed our playgrounds. Does anyone else remember? I don't recall we ever talked about closing the playgrounds in the winter.
Okay.
No, and I guess my question would be, are we opening ourselves up to liability by doing it and or not doing it? Like, you know, I mean, I know we always have the ice, right? Which was going to be one of my questions about, you know, measuring the ice in the ponds, and that's a responsibility of ours, but I don't think we've ever closed a playground. You know, I think the town people may react if we actually started putting signage out. I don't know.
I'm happy to do what the town has done or the Department of the Commission has done in the past. I was only saying we should put signs up that say like caution, not that they shouldn't be using them. Typically what I've done in other communities is send out like an email to all the schools and the town and just a notice that the playgrounds are closed because of the ground is frozen, just like the fields are closed because the ground is frozen. But just like the fields, you still see people on them. If you think that communicating that it will make it worse, I'm happy to hear that and run with it. I'm only bringing to you, I don't know what Needham's done, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, Stacy, it's a good point. I don't think we've ever considered it, right? But I do know that NEDP, for example, will put the kids outside as much as possible on any given day, right? And they will utilize those playgrounds at those schools. So, and as well as recess programs at the schools will use the playgrounds. So if we come out and close them, then we're undermining other programs within the town. So I don't think, you know, I get the liability question and the concern for the safety of people. You know, particularly I'm thinking Perry and Greens, you know, the places that are our parks, but the school playgrounds, they get used all year round. I mean,
Matt, let me be clear, the schools always ignored us.
yeah, well, I'm just saying,
Park
I just
and
don't,
Rec,
but
we were
but if we put a message out there, then we just may get back that we just may hear it from those programs. Right?
We could. The flip side of that is somebody gets hurt and sues the town and the ground is frozen and we should have closed. That could, I mean, it sounds like it hasn't happened as often, or at least you guys have never heard of it, but.
No, we haven't done it while I've been on the commission, Stacy. No, was it ever suggested to us? I don't think the idea, or I think the idea of putting up a note that says, I'm looking at your note, signage urging caution because of the frozen ground. I think that's probably a good idea, but I don't think we would close them because we haven't, and I don't know why we would start now, especially as you point out it's a pandemic, people need places to take.
Yeah, I mean, this year I would just suggest users use more caution, which is what the report said. But we can kind of do that every year if that's what the commission prefers.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's actually a good idea. I don't know how the other commissioners feel. I'll start with you, Matt, since you had some thoughts here. Do you think that's a good idea to have signage? that
Yeah,
says-
I think that's fine, as long as we're not saying we're closing, but, you know, and
Right.
we're not saying play at your own risk, but I think if we are putting out a campaign to keep in mind that, you know, when the ground freezes, it hurts, you know, frozen ground hurts, right? I mean, I think most people get it because they're New Englanders, but yeah, I
Right.
think that's fine, but I understand where you're coming from, Stacy, too, and protecting the town and the commission. I completely get it, but
Okay.
of course, now that you raise this, something's gonna happen this winter, just so you know.
No, yeah,
Power
but
of
you're right.
positive thinking.
Everyone knows the ground is hard. I mean, if you grew up here or you've lived here for more than, one winter, the ground is pretty darn hard. So in the winter, so. Okay.
Do you want me to keep going, or are you polling the other commissioners?
Now, unless someone has something else to say, I'm going to keep going. Well, they all seem good, so let's keep going.
The CPC applications that pertain to us are in this packet, and Chris is thrilled to have an actual update.
Yes, actually. So we had a very entertaining CPC meeting last Wednesday that we had, was it 9 or 10 applications come in, Kristen?
In total.
How much?
In total.
10 in total. So the two to affect us are the synthetic track resurfacing and McLeod Field design funds for redoing McLeod. Both were deemed eligible via CPC. They have had liaisons attached to them. So we will have, I want to say our first meeting, we'll have one December 23rd, and then in January, we'll probably start having presenters come in to present. So that would probably be the time that we had mentioned in previous conversations where we have the high school track coaches write a letter of recommendation, maybe the athletic director write a letter of recommendation, the Needham Track Club saying, this would be a really great way to do it. That again, the CPC members all thought it was a great idea to do it. They just didn't think it was the right time on last cycle. So nothing has changed. The scope has not changed. So it should be, verbatim of what we were going to do last time. So but to have those letters of recommendation would be huge.
So Chris, what's happening on the 23rd of December? Is there any reason why?
It's just another meeting to follow up that like the two that I've been assigned to, one of them is actually the town common renovation. So it's open space, but that's controlled by the select board. So there was no conflict of interest for that one for me. So I think it's just like an update of if there are any questions that needed to be answered after we had our meeting last week. So like follow-up things, because I know there was one member that was very particular on some of the wording of some of the CPC articles. So I think he just wanted some clarification on, does it mean design or does it mean build? What does this mean on that? So it's more just an update of the ones that we deemed eligible, which were all of them.
Okay. And then what about Walker Pond? Oh,
excuse me, Walker
actually,
Pond
Kristen-
was also, you're right, Walker Pond was, that was assigned to Laura Dorfman and
Rick Zibone.
Rick Zambone. So those two have it. It's going to be, and I gave a glowing recommendation, Stacy, of how well you and Katie King and the Walker Pond Association have all been working together with Tony Delgazo. So I think it's a lot different from when they presented the first time to us. So I think it's going to be a great, combination of getting this through.
Great.
And Kristen, I forgot something.
You're doing great. You're doing great. The other ones that were included in the packet that the commission may have interest in are the ones that the common that is not technically a recreation project, but is submitted as a recreational use of CPC funding. And then the other one was there's two others. There's the trail identification, which was withdrawn last year, which is a global trail identification program that is being headed and spearheaded by CONCOM, but it's obviously, since you guys are the trail stewards of the town, have effect to the commission, as well as the sediment removal of the town reservoir. And the last one is the placeholder that we put in every year for purchase of open space in conjunction with CONCOM and town manager. And those 6 projects are the ones that are included in your packet.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Tulin?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask on the one, the Concom one about the trails. I don't remember it, so Christian, if you can remind me, or Chris or Stacy, are we gonna be changing our trailheads for ours, or are they only covering the trailheads and consistency and signing for Concom trails? Like, are we gonna be doing this at Town Forest? Like, is everything that we have in our purview and scope? Otherwise, we look like 2 different towns, right?
The project is submitted for a design scope of all trail identification. So anything that is labeled as a trail in the town. That would include Town Forest, and I'm sure Debbie would be happy to come in and explain what she is thinking for this, but in the packet is the basically the scope of services that they're looking to do for all parts of the trail systems in town, including the ones that are under DPW, the selectmen, the board of the select board, and Concom and Park and Recreation. So it's all encompassing of everything. Concom is much like Tony being the driver for Walker Pond, even though it's the property of and under the jurisdiction of the commission. Debbie and the conservation department are the driver for the trail identification, so that we have a little more. So this is design services. It's to get an idea of what we're looking for. And I'm sure once they have designs, they'll come and talk to the commission as well.
Well, I mean, Madam Chair, should we, like, I know you're keen on all the trails and things, should we be part of that design phase because of, you know, our trail steward program and everything? I'm not volunteering us, I'm just saying, should we be part of the design, not, hey, this is what we decided, you guys want to weigh in? I don't know.
No, I think that's a good idea, and I think I would probably rely on our staff, talking to the Concom staff, the conservation department, as to when we would need to be part of it. But no, I think that's a great idea.
I've spoken to Debbie a while back when this first came up. And then when they pulled it originally, or they pulled it last year, right?
Yes.
So I haven't followed up with her, but she did say, like, I want to run these by you, I want to, get your opinion. So we have started that communication process.
Great. Any other
I'm gonna
questions?
look forward to changing the Needham Town colors to orange and purple on all the trailheads, a little bit of green, jazz it up a little.
Well,
What?
orange and green would be University of Miami. Purple and gold would be LSU. I don't know where you're headed, Stacy.
Towards the rainbow, Cindy, towards the rainbow.
Oh, towards the rainbow. Okay, well, get the rainbow. All right. Well,
Thank you.
Oh,
Commissioner Gerst.
I see a light bulb.
quickly interject. Yes, one of the other ones, and Kristen, I don't know if you mentioned this one, but there's also going to be the trail marker for the rail trail on Fisher Street. That is also one of the CPC articles. So that will be on there. But also I want to give credit to Stacy and her work that she did on the rail trail for that mural that was done down by the Dover side. Pictures of it looked amazing, but seeing it's, in life was even better. So I want to commend you. That was a great job put together. It, knock on wood, no graffiti there yet. And it looks really great. I mean, like I said, the pictures don't do it justice from what I saw the last time. It was a great addition to the trail.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I've only seen the pictures, but the pictures looked great.
Thank you.
Mr. Gerstle, can I ask you,
Yes.
who are the liaisons for McLeod and for the track project from CPC?
The track project are the same from the last time. Miss Laura Dorfman and Paul Alpert are going to be for the synthetic turf or synthetic track. And for McLeod, it is Artie Crocker and maybe Peter Pignatore is a backup, or it's just Artie. It's either one.
Okay. Oh, there
Look
we
at
go. Stacy is sharing that picture. Nice. I
Great
like
look.
that. Yeah. Love that. Thank you, Stacy.
There's
Hopefully
one
I'll
into here that's like, here it is. We're all in this together, but not this one right here. She's out.
Shot.
I'm all set with that.
She blends in with the paint on
I
the
know.
wall.
No.
There's a few more. This one's pretty good. Somebody was very excited to see Donatello on there. So, yeah,
Nice.
there's some good ones.
Looks like the slideshow is sponsored by Etsy.
Yeah, really.
Slideshow is sponsored by the Mulroy children.
Yeah, these are your children, all of these?
They are, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
They
It was
paint that
great
as
once
well?
No, they were not happy that there was an option and I did not allow them. But the youth in town actually signed up to paint those with some oversight from Youth and Family Services. So Youth and Family Services ran the actual painting of the fence and the taping off and the drawing and letting the kids paint in there. But I don't know if there's a picture of like a bunch of handprints. So one section of the fence, the kindness section, is all handprints. So it did come out pretty well.
Nice. Nice. Great. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commissioners on the CPC articles? All right. Thank you.
Next is the update for the athletic director. Not hiring one of those. Assistant
No,
director.
We don't get to.
What?
There's been
There you
times we
go.
would have liked the athletic director, but we actually, I think as a whole, we like the current one, so we're good.
Thanks. Assistant director, it will be going to personnel board because of the change in job description. It needs to be reclassified, which I feared would happen. And
Yeah. Commissioner Gerstle?
Do we have a date of when we know this will go out, like January 1st, hypothetically, or is it still
January
kind of in a holding pattern until
it's
they?
on in a holding pattern now. It's mid-January. I can get you the exact date, but I don't have the exact date.
But it's all right. So it's going to be best guess
Mid-January.
mid-January. Okay.
Which at this point, I wanted to get it out now, but probably it'll get lost in the shuffle because of the holidays. So it might be better to go out 1st of January and just have a quick turnaround time.
All right.
So are you pretty confident that mid-January date will be met? Because I feel like these things slip.
Yep.
You are. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sorry if I may ask another question. So
all right.
procedural wise, let's just say for argument, January 15th, it gets posted. 30 days that it has to be up?
I don't think it has to be up 30 days. It has to be up at least
10
10 days.
10 days.
I would go for 3 weeks,
Okay.
honestly, to post it. Somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks, depending on the exact date in January.
So
Because then it'll
we
take us 2 or 3 weeks to look through all of the applicants.
and then probably so it'll be interviews end of March, and then what, 30
No.
days?
End of March. No, I'm hoping interviews mid-February and
I'm sorry, February, yes.
hiring early March.
Early March, okay. And if you had to have a perfect time, and I know now would probably be it, but you would say what, March 15th is when you would want to have a new director and assistant director in
Not on
place?
the Ides of March. That would not be a good start date, but maybe the 14th. That would be good.
Wow. Well, if you get that to happen, Stacy,
Mhm.
I will take you out for a drink, maybe a dinner.
Jeez,
Just one,
been
Stacy?
involved-
I think we're sending a case of wine.
one big one.
Yeah, we've been involved with this stuff before, and the only word that comes to mind is slippage, because it slips, and anyway. But so keep up the good work, because if you are able to accomplish that, I will. I think the whole commission will be extremely happy with that. But
Well, I'm motivated considering the time of year that comes right after March.
yeah.
Be pretty motivated.
Yeah. Oh, we don't question the motivation. We just don't. We just don't know if Needham is a lot slower than anywhere else you've ever worked, because it usually we're slow to hire and fill. But
Yes.
great.
That is true.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Yes. Any comments, questions on the director's report? If not, let's skip right into the agenda, which I think much of it has been covered. Discussion items, first item, Walker Pond CPC application. I think we have covered that unless someone has some further questions. Seeing none. The safety lights at DeFazio, we did talk about those.
The only update on the facilities, sorry to not
Yep, right.
ask first. I walked the track today with Eddie and the vendor, Cape and Islands, for the surfacing. And we are gonna get a quote to do some patching to get through the spring season for track. I don't know what that looks like, but we're not gonna hit all the spots, but we are gonna hit the ones at the starts.
Okay.
Where the biggest deterioration is. And the vendor was basically like, if we can do that, it'll hold us over till, my guess is fall 2021 when we do that bigger project.
Okay, well, so most of that wear does seem to be in that, I mean, it's a fairly
The
large,
starting blocks, yeah.
right, maybe the starting
Yep.
blocks are.
Yeah, and there's some
Well,
other separation elsewhere, which just definitely proves that we need the work done. But this will help us tide us over until we get there.
great, well, hopefully the quote is something reasonable,
Mhm.
that we can do it. Great. Pickleball.
Let's
Pickle-
vote to put that after Bruce leaves, and then we don't have to talk about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Is this Bruce's pet project? That's why he joined the commission.
I think
Mhm.
he's,
No, that's not why at all. Everybody said the only reason you ran for the commission was to build ice hockey rinks. I said, there's too many now. We don't need any more.
and we thought it was pickleball.
No, it was, I just happened to be at a place that they have some really nice courts. So I was able to get in touch with the director of the tennis and pool, and they gave me all the drawings that they did and a contractor who does the job, and they did a terrific job over there. So if it's something that takes some old courts that are in a good location with some parking, it might be worthwhile.
I think so too. And I believe you're the only pickleball player on the commission, is my guess at this point.
Well,
Oh,
it's becoming very popular. I know that
Yeah,
in Boston right now they've just built a bunch of indoor pickleball courts so that you rent by the hour.
wow.
So it's a big, I guess it's a big sport down south, and it's coming up this way. So
Well, I would have loved, and I thought a couple of years ago that we would probably be taking some tennis courts and converting them or adding the lines to make them pickleball. But then this last year, tennis apparently has become very, very busy and popular. So that may not be where we go. But I think we need to advance pickleball, our thoughts on pickleball. But did you have anything to add, Bruce? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, just that I know it's becoming very popular, and you can put, if you have 3 pickleball courts in one tennis court, there's at least a dozen people that can play instead of just 2 or 4. So
Right.
it just serves more people, and it's really easy to learn, and it's obviously great exercise. But you don't have to have a great tennis serve. It's like kind of like ping pong in that respect. It's a combination, but it's I know that a lot of people really enjoyed it this year. So, and I know it's catching on because they're building courts around the city. So,
Right.
well, we could probably get a quote from. It all depends what space there is and where it would be. But that guy Mike Rotundi, he built the ones, and I guess he must have all the equipment. I know he did the footings for the nets and all that stuff, and then set up all the lines. And it's nice they put benches there. It really is a kind of a cool setup. But anyway, see what
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Commissioner Gerstle?
Good, I'm live. Okay, this is something that's probably way down the road. And I know, Cindy, you and I have had conversations about this. But rumor has it that the property left of Newman School is up for sale, and this town might be pursuing purchasing that parcel of land. Now, ideally, from what I heard, maybe the school committee would offer it, and that might be a place for the new school administration building. Ideally, you would probably have to take both parcels of land, and for those who are looking at it, it's the two houses on the left before you get to Cusick Field, that if the school committee doesn't want that and the town does purchase it, God, I think that would be a great place that we could do something like a pickleball court. It could be a permanent home for our skate park. We could put up other amenities there. We could have maybe a parking so people aren't parking on the street or in the schools. That, like, again, school committee, if they want it first, I have no problem with that, because I think it's actually a pretty good location to put school administration building. But if the town or the school committee doesn't want, or the school committee doesn't want it, boy, I think we would be stupid not to take a parcel of land like that.
Yeah, I think so
Again,
too.
that's many years down the road. This is not something, but it just, I would hate to give up on something like that. That could be really great for Park and Rec, because they're not making much more land anymore, I heard. So anything that we can kind of do, and CPC, we always put money aside for spaces or parcels of land like that. We always put like $1 million aside to make a purchase like that. So it might be a wise thing to kind of look into or keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Any other comments from the commissioners?
I thought the Hillside School was slated to be the new administration building.
It's going to be swing space, from what I'm hearing right now, is that they're going, that was one of the, also the other CPC articles that came up of the Emery Grover, what's the word I'm looking for, Kristen? Design funds, possibly, to redo Emery Grover as the current school administration building. But I think Hillside has always kind of been the backup to the backup. So again, I think Hillside would be a pretty good place too, but I think the school committee is pretty much set on, we'd love to have it in the center of town at the existing Emery Grover building, but redone. But if that doesn't work out, option 2 could be Hillside, option 3 could be this parcel of land, but that's years down the road.
I think the Hillside School is being looked at as swing space for the Mitchell kids, right?
That too, yes.
So when the town is able to rebuild a new school at Mitchell, I think those kids would be at Hillside. Once the fire department and police department, are completely out, right? Or fire department, I guess.
What I heard was after Mitchell's built, that's when they were going to use that for the administration building. But that's going to be many, many years down the road.
I don't think Emery Grover can stand that much longer.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, that's a safety hazard.
Yeah, I thought the Emery Grover, and we haven't been to a meeting now, Chris, for Emery Grover for
At least a year.
At least a year. But I thought the timing of the Emery Grover either being redone or replaced is before Mitchell would be built. But I don't know. I mean, they're such big projects. I don't know how the town is going to line them up. But are there any other places we could put? Oh, Kristen.
I just wanted to say the current timeframe that was presented at CPC was that police would be moving out in March or January of this coming year, 2021, and then school administration can move into it while the construction's getting done if it gets voted at town meeting and that type of thing. So like 2023, I think, is the latest that Dan said that they could probably remain in Emery Grover. Where there's some big improvements that need to be made for it to be, I don't know if safe is the right word, but usable.
No, it's
Yeah.
a very old building. Right. Are there any other spaces we could use for pickleball? Maybe that's what we need to think about. Is there a place we could build?
I think there are I think there's actually a few options in town. I think the corner of Claxton is one. I think somewhere at DeFazio is another. I'm sure there's more than those are the two that just stand out, but I'm sure there's more. But it's going to take leveling. Certainly of any of that land, DeFazio is probably the worst, but for leveling or the most costly. But yes, my initial thought was DeFazio because we could level it, this parking. It would just be like another facility somewhere, like ideally closer to that tot lot. But I think Claxton, if you slide the playground, you could slide one in there over there. And then again, you have parking. So I think there's a lot of options. And I think, yes, we have to move forward somewhere, which is why it's part of our facilities or court CIP plan, whether that's tennis or a basketball court or pickleball court or some sort of
Multi-service.
grouping. Yeah.
Right.
Claxton came up first because we're going to be doing construction over there at some point. So the thought is like, we should probably get some numbers to see if we could tack it on or slide it in or do it in conjunction while the other stuff is happening and the field is offline.
Right. I think Claxton would be an ideal location because I think there's space. I don't know at DeFazio that it's that easy, even though it's a big facility. It's pretty well taken up, but Claxton seems great. And if we had some idea what it would cost, we could then kind of judge the climate. Are people really interested in pickleball and willing to put money into it? Okay.
Well, and I think it would be great. Like DeFazio is an amazing complex, but if you live in a different part of town, it's not super accessible. So is there a place is there a space in town where people could walk to it more efficiently, or a larger number of people could walk to it? I don't know that answer, but these are the kinds of things that I just think about as I'm driving around town.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I always remember that we're only 12 square miles in total. We're a really pretty small geographic town.
Yeah.
So, and not that many people live in the center. We're pretty dispersed. So, you know, we went through this with this senior center, why it couldn't be in one part of town because it was way too far. I'm like, you can't be driving for, not even, if we're only 12 square miles, you can't be driving more than probably 5 miles without leaving town, but different issue. Okay. All right. Enough on pickleball unless commissioners have any questions. All right. Thank you. Commission goals. So the last meeting, we finished the goals, we think. I'm just scrolling to that part of the package on my computer. And I was hoping if the commission had a chance to look at the goals that we could talk about whether or not we're ready to vote on those goals. If I could find what the heck page they are, if I go through all of these.
It's 40.
I think it's almost at the
Okay.
bottom.
I got it finally. I know I saw it. Here we go.
Looks like Chris is the only one that has a goal assigned to him, and everything else is all members. Is that right? An overachiever.
Wait, say that again.
I see Chris Gerstel is assigned to the
And
outdoor.
Cindy has one.
Oh, I didn't say, okay. I didn't look down close enough. Yes. Sorry. Another overachiever, Cindy. Sorry. I didn't need to not give you credit for that.
Do you want something by yourself, Michelle? Do you not
No,
want to be
I
a
just
team
didn't
player?
know if I thought it was decided that all of the goals would be all members. I didn't know if we wanted to be differentiating. That's the only thing.
Oh, but I mean, if you
I
like
don't-
that,
I don't mind.
I don't mind either. So on that the first part of our goals, we have all members instead of Chris being responsible for the courts and me being responsible for the trails. Sure. We can make that change if Kristen doesn't mind making that change. I'm assuming it's Kristen that would make that change.
Is this something we have to vote on or just
Well,
is this more internal?
I don't,
We can vote on all the changes.
But you could take
Yes,
out,
at
you could just
once.
take the whole column out and just say, these are our goals.
see, that is probably the most logical thing, isn't it, Matt? Thank you. That now that you say that, it seems kind of like Captain Obvious, but thank you.
Gold
Yes,
star for Matt.
gold star for cutting right through. And let's take that column out and say, these are our goals. I like that. Thank you, Matt. Clearly a man who knows his goals. And then is everyone okay with the individual responsibilities?
Did we give everything to Michelle because she wasn't at that meeting?
Well, we debated about
Right.
that.
When you weren't at the meeting, Matt. It was like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we talked about it. So Bruce only has 2, but
Those are 2 big ones.
those are 2 big ones, right? I mean, the trustees just because they work so closely with us, right? Because they have fields and programs in that beautiful building. And then the school committee, not because we have that much to do with the school committee, but they are, a big, big important group in town, obviously. So does anyone have any changes or questions at all about these goals and important issues and responsibilities?
No.
If not, I would like that we make that change. We talked about it, just taking out that column that Matt suggested. And can we vote? We can vote to accept these tonight. Yes. Why don't we vote to accept them with that change? If somebody would like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve and adopt the 2020-2021 Park and Recreation Commission goals and responsibilities
As
Second.
amended.
as amended. Don't all
Second,
jump at once.
Second, Michelle.
Matt and I did jump at the same
Michelle,
time. so-
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will come to a vote, and I am just going to do a voice vote. If you object, raise your hand, but all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. It passes unanimously. And Kristen and Stacy, once you make that change with the column, if you would just send them out to the commissioners so we have our very own copy. They don't have to be laminated. Thank you very much. Just need it by email. Great. Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is liaisons to Council on Aging and Youth and Family Services. Did we put this on there?
Mm,
Whose idea was this item? Stacy,
Putting Michelle the task of the first day of the,
Sorry,
hey, we
I
just
can't-
approved the goals. All right, Michelle, what have you got done?
What happened?
Is it?
Who's
It's
idea?
Crystal. It's Crystal.
It's
It's me,
Kirsten.
what?
You're the liaison.
Oh, I am. Yes, of course. Yeah, all for it. Aye.
So so we're looking for an update since you are the liaison. Have you reached out to our?
I
Oh,
did
that's
reach
where
out, but I
Michelle
have
passed it
not
off.
had any response back yet, but I will make sure I follow up on Wednesday morning.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let us know. We'll discuss it at our next meeting.
Please put it on the agenda.
Perfect. I should have contacted you, Stacy, because I looked at it on the agenda and I thought, what is this? Who put this on there? Okay. All right. Thank you. And now we are at special events. So the boosters are selling their Christmas trees over at Claxton, and I believe we talked about it very loosely a while back. And then when they special event request came in, we never did approve it. I
I
don't know that
dropped the ball on this one. That was me. I went back and forth with Tim, and then about because at the time we were putting the kibosh on all PTC events, but then the boosters was whatever. I just totally forgot to bring it to you guys, and Cindy reached out to me after she picked up her tree and was like, "Hey, wait
Exactly.
a minute."
So
So I
you
was
don't-
like, "Oh, sorry."
and to buy a tree, and as we're, Jim's looking at trees, and I'm like, I don't remember that we approved this. And he said, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't think we approved this, so I just didn't remember. And then I'm talking to Chris Garstel, and he's like, yeah, we didn't approve it. I don't remember we approved that. But we do it every year, so the years do sometimes blend together. So I don't know that we need to approve it now. It has not only been going on, I think it's about to be done, because I drove by today when I took my trash to the RTS, and it looks like they're almost out of trees. So
5 more days for me.
I
think it's
make a
great that-
motion, we posthumously approve the special event request for Needham Athletic Booster Club for the trees.
Second.
all right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we come to the vote. All those in favor of this posthumous, is that the right way to use that word? I think it means dead, right? But anyway,
Selling dead trees? Oh,
all those in favor
So
of
we are.
the motion,
Technically.
please please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. So Matt, the credibility you gained, Matt, with the goals, you might have just lost with past. I don't know.
You know me, Cindy, my credibility is always.
Wow. All right. Thank you. So that's our special event. We have 2 sets of minutes. So hopefully you've had a chance to read them. If you need a little bit of time, let me know. They're the minutes of September 29th and October 13th, 2020. Let's see, Michelle and Bruce were not here. Were not present for the first set of minutes. So actually,
I forget Rick Merson being at that meeting.
Yeah, geez. I was just,
so do I have I'm looking at the agenda from last week and it says the minutes of September 29th, but I'm looking at the minutes and they're September 14th. So
There's both 14th and the 29th are in there.
I think it's the 14th, right? Yeah.
They're
14th
both in
and the
there
29th.
because at our last meeting, we didn't have the right commissioners to vote
Ah.
on.
right.
Thank you. All right. So.
They got pulled in.
So thank you for that explanation. So I need a motion to accept the minutes of September 14th, if someone is willing to do that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of September 14th for the Park and Rec Commission.
Second,
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll come to the vote. All those in favor vote aye.
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 Abstentions? I'm assuming there may be 2 abstentions for the 2 commissioners who weren't here. Is that correct? Michelle and Bruce. Thank you. Any opposed? No. All right, so that passes. Thank you. And then now we come to the minutes of September 29th, and we had a full commission for that one. So
Make a motion to accept the minutes of September 29th.
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none, we come to the motion. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. And that is it, right? Right, thank you, Kristen. Okay. Thank you. Are there any topics for future meetings?
I'd like to, more of just a comment. I want to commend Commissioner Toon for stepping up and taking the rest of Mr. Tashiko's term. That now that we'll be starting the beginning of the year, your term will be ending, I think, in April, Commissioner Toolin. So I would ask all the other commissioners or everyone on the call, please, any ideas that we can get to get another commissioner to run, that would be fantastic. We were very fortunate to get Bruce to step up and join us last year. That if anybody has any suggestions for a new commissioner, not that we want to see Matt leave, but please, let's start reaching out to people now because it's going to be on us before people have to start pulling papers and getting things signed. So please start getting the suggestions in.
Yeah, great.
Chris, on that note, could you also pull papers?
Yes, when they are available on January 4th.
Thank you.
And I mean, perhaps Commissioner Tulin would like to re-up for another term, so we would not want to discourage him if he
That's welcome
made
that.
that choice, right? We'd be thrilled, but
If he loses at cornhole, he's got to go 3 more years.
Ooh, reel them back in nice and slow.
yeah,
He hasn't
Yeah.
been willing
Oh.
to take me on, so now he's starting to drop bets, you know?
yeah.
All in favor for Matt to stay on, say aye.
I mean, we twisted his arm for this 1 more year. We'd be happy to twist it for another term. Any other topics for future meetings or issues not reasonably anticipated?
Ooh, just one other, sorry.
Sure,
Do
go
we,
ahead.
do we want to make a determination? Do we really want to meet on Monday, the 28th?
That was going to be my
I know
next.
that is,
So thanks for eating us into that. I don't think we would need a meeting if there were some emergency reason. It's hard for me to imagine, but if there were, that Stacy and Kristen would be willing to call us and, but I'm thinking no, unless one of the commissioners feels otherwise.
Now, the only thing I would ask is that if we can understand from the CPC when they're gonna have the meeting and require or request stakeholders, you guys can just email that to us so that we can push that out for the track and, make sure that we get the right people.
Definitely will.
Okay,
If you guys would like to not meet, but still receive a director's report so that so if anything comes up, it can be in the report and I can send it to you guys.
that
we
would
can-
be great. That
I'll
would
do
be
that.
Great.
Yes.
Obviously,
Yeah,
you cannot
sounds good.
respond to the email as a whole. You have to respond to me individually if you have any questions, but at least I can give you an update and just
Yeah.
do the director's report.
That would be very helpful, Stacy. Thank you for that offer. I think we would really like that. I have a question for the commission and the staff. Will we need to do another field summit this year? No, this year we typically did our field summit meeting early January, I believe, right? For many years, we did it early January. It was our first meeting generally of the new year, the calendar year. This year we did it differently because it was such a weird year. Is there any sense that we need to think about a field summit during this winter before the spring season?
My thoughts are that we should have a field summit similar to the one we had in the fall, a Zoom meeting, just to let people know where the department's at, where the fields are. With COVID moving in different directions depending on the day, we just want to make sure people are and understand like what could change, that they have to be prepared to change at the last minute. One of the things Kristen and I are meeting about next week is the user manual for fields. If you so that all those little things that kept getting lost in translation are all in one packet, which we have, but we're going to redistribute that to all of our field users and talk about trash specifically and equipment and just all the things that we did. But I think it should be similar to the fall meeting. That was my idea.
Okay, so maybe for our first meeting in January 11th, we can talk about the timing. Because again, we don't need to have it in January, but we really need to have it for the spring sports, in time for spring sports. So Commissioner Tulin?
Yeah, I also align with that. We need to talk about fall too. Right? So high school
I'm
sports.
still in
are-
denial on that, Matt.
Oh,
so
I was like, what?
Yeah, I know, but we have to make decisions on whether we're gonna let them plow the turf or what we're gonna use. I know Eddie's probably not. I know, look,
we don't have the equipment to plow it.
we're just gonna need to have it as a discussion item to prepare what we can't do, will not do, right? As the school embarks on if they try to embark on fall 2 sports, which would be football,
Right.
which did not happen, but it's designated to start at the end of February. What do we do? Right. So I think we just need it as an agenda item to discuss that, and that would feed into the field summit conversation, right?
I'll
'Cause
add that as
do the
well.
youth groups want to add fall 2 back in? Like, so we just have to talk through it a little bit as an item.
Okay, and maybe we'll have a better idea of what's going to be allowed. I don't know that we will, but
I don't know if we will, but right now they're saying it's allowed, but
right.
everything is changing every
Right.
day, so we don't know.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm
Good point.
so.
Okay.
And then the only other thought, and I don't think it's a topic for a future meeting, but it's really, Kristen, I know you're aware of our ICE notifications, right? That we have to start sending those out pretty soon. So, Stacy, I don't know if you were aware, but where we have ponds, we have free skating, and then we have ice checkers go out and the DPW checks the ice, make sure it's safe. And given our scarce resources we've had with DPW this year, I want to make sure that we're still able to do that. So I just want to call that out as, something. We're getting to that season where people are going to go on the ponds, whether they should or shouldn't. And we need to start putting out those notifications.
We were just discussing this yesterday in our team meeting about Horsford Pond, small and large by the town
Great,
forest.
great,
So,
thank you.
yes.
And Michelle,
I just had a question related to the Field Summit and just setting expectations for how, like what's required of participants for the programs. I felt as a parent with kids at like 4 different groups, the rules were different for everyone. Of like what was required when they came, the mask and initially was different, but had changed, you know, very quickly that everyone had to wear masks. So, but all the sports were different. So I didn't know if that was, are we expected to be setting the expectations and then it's the interpretation of each group to implement that? I just think that needs to be very clear going into
Mm.
the Field Summit because it was different for every sport.
wow,
Yes, I wish that we had the authority to be like, this is your guidelines and this is what you will follow. And we have some very clear ones and, you know, they have to wear a mask, they have to socially distant, they have to, you know, we have the top 4. But then each user group does come up with their own specific guidelines, whether, you know, like baseball, only so many people can be on the bench and, you know, there's all different stuff. So we have some broad guidelines and then they are differentiated. So yes, from a parent, it's kind of miserable. So sorry, but
Doesn't it also fall into the governing body that runs that sport? So like the MIAA will have those top 4 things that you had mentioned, Stacy, and they might add in 1 or 2 things, while soccer might have 5 of those things, but then 2 other different things than the MIAA. So it's kind of what that sports group determines of how it is. That's why you're seeing pretty much the difference of why does hockey have to wear it all the time? Where it's soccer, you only had to wear it if you're sitting on the bench, as an example. So that's what I saw the confusion too.
so
right, I think those are going to be more streamlined in general. Because what I'm seeing with the vaccines is that we're still going to have to wear masks during the vaccine process. So I think the mask push is going to be harder than it was in the fall for sports.
Agreed.
Because we saw what it did in the fall when it wasn't strict enough. So I think the guidelines will be more streamlined, but they're not going to be equal.
I think every sport's a little bit different because they, you know, basketball, they can spread out along the sidelines. Hockey, you have a bench. So if you have 15 kids on a bench, you can't be 6 feet apart. So they just have to wear their mask from the moment they walk in the rink until they leave. And there's some other strange rules as far as engaging on the ice. If a player engages another player along the boards, they have 5 seconds to move out of, you know, break it up or move. If a third person comes in, it's an automatic penalty. So it's going to be tough. And the kids did great last night at the first tryout. I couldn't believe they were skating as hard as they were with a mask on the whole time. I mean, I'm sure those masks had to go in the trash can by the time they were done. But it's it was pretty amazing. They all, you know, abided by it, and the attestation forms they have to fill out every single time they go to a rink. And even Babson has their own form before they can go in. So they had to do 2 forms before they skated last night. St. Seb's and Fessenden don't have their special form for those rinks, but every sport's different. It's going to be tough. I mean, you keep telling these kids, you're lucky you're even playing. We didn't know till last Thursday we were going to start a season on Monday. So
Wow.
everything's just coming around now. You know, it's like
but this might be a point that we bring up at the Field Summit to just say we're hearing from parents that there's inconsistencies between the sports, and some of it is because the sports themselves are different. But we also think some groups may be a little more stringent than others. And, you know, if there's any examples that make sense, Michelle, if you have examples, I mean, you know, I know in baseball you had your own bat, your own glove, and your own equipment, but maybe that's not the case in every sport.
I mean, the most strict was the track program that John implemented, and he was following the guidelines of Park and Rec. And we had to fill out a form that had Park and Rec on the top. You had to get your temperature taken physically every single time you went. And the parents had to sign it. and you had to bring your own bucket of all of your equipment for the little kids. And this is outside with lots of space
Yeah.
to spread. And we had dots and there's 150 kids and there were dots all over the track and you could only stand on a dot. So you think of like the amount of work to administer that. And then you go to soccer and they're all huddled up together, you know, they're kind of trying to social distance, but like the amount of kind of thought and care that goes into certain programs, it was very different for others. And there weren't forms. I didn't fill out anything for the soccer program. I maybe once, but I didn't do that every day. So I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I'm just saying the process is very different and it was administered very differently depending on which sport you were playing.
Oh, interesting. Well, it may be something that we want to address, even if at a pretty high level, just to let the sports groups know that it's confusing for parents and that some groups are very strict about following the guidelines. And I guess I would think we want to encourage that as opposed to being loosey-goosey. Okay. All right. Great.
I have to
Well,
sign off.
all
I'll
right.
see you next meeting.
Have
Hey,
a nice,
Bruce.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Bruce.
everybody.
thank you. I think with that we are finished. If someone doesn't have anything else to say. So with that, I would like to wish our staff a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks for the hard work. I think this has been a really difficult year. And Stacy, we're glad you joined us, and we're sorry that it was an unusual year and that you're going to feel new until we come out of COVID in some ways, but in other ways, you're going to feel like you've been here forever. And Kristen has, continued to hold us together. Thank you, Kristen. Greatly appreciate your efforts, and please keep up the good work, and please express these thoughts to the rest of the staff, Chris and Kim and Devin. But thank you very much and wish you very happy holidays. And same thing to my commissioners. Thank you for your efforts. Very strange year for us, but I appreciate everybody's input and creativity. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The staff and I would also like to extend our appreciation to you guys. We really appreciate your thoughtfulness. This season in all of COVID, and I haven't been here only 3 weeks, not in COVID, but in general, we want to just send our appreciation to you guys and wish you all a happy holidays.
Thank you. With that, I would entertain a motion to dissolve our meeting, to adjourn.
Motion to
Thank you.
adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of the month.
See you in January.
Bye. Thank
See
you.
y'all.
All right, bye-bye.